Stardew Valley. It's the game we all run to when we need an escape, right? You trade in that gray, corporate cubicle for a new life. A simple life, filled with rewarding farm work. But what if I told you that cozy little farm is actually a ruthless economic simulation? That underneath all that charm is a system so powerful, it might just turn you into the very thing you were trying to get away from. Let's dig in.
So, this is really the big question, isn't it? Why do we clock out of our real jobs just to go do a bunch of digital work in our free time? The answer, as it turns out, tells us a whole lot about the invisible economic logic that's humming away just beneath the surface of this supposedly relaxing game. Okay, so to really get where we end up, we've got to remember where we start. And the game's opening? It's iconic for a reason. It just perfectly nails that feeling of being completely and utterly burned out by modern corporate life.
I mean, the game is not exactly subtle about it. You're just another drone at the giant Joja Corporation, a place so depressing that one of your old coworkers is literally a skeleton still sitting at their desk. This isn't just a bad job. It's a soul-crushing existence you're desperate to escape.
And that right there is the key. From the moment you start, the game makes one thing perfectly clear. Joja is the bad guy. They are the big, impersonal, oppressive system that you have left behind. Your whole new life is set up as a rebellion against everything Joja represents. So you get to Pelican Town, and this whole conflict becomes the main plot. You're given a really clear choice. Are you going to roll up your sleeves and restore the heart of the town, the old community center? Or are you going to sell out to that familiar, soulless blue logo of Joja Mart?
And these two paths could not be more different. The community center is all about hard work, foraging, getting your hands dirty, and connecting with the town and its history. The Joja way? It's transactional. It's the easy path. You just throw money at the problem. No effort needed, just cold, hard cash.
And look, Joja isn't just some generic evil corporation. Their strategy is ripped straight from the real-world corporate playbook. They are a predator. They use tactics like selling things at a loss just to undercut poor Pierre's shop, trying to drive him out of business so they can create a monopoly. And once they do that, they can charge whatever they want, sucking all the money right out of the local economy. So the choice is simple, right? Fight the big evil corporation and save the little guy. But, and this is the brilliant part, this is where the game plays a little trick on us. Because it doesn't matter which path you choose. The actual mechanics of the game, the day-to-day grind, start pushing you in a very, very corporate direction.
And this right here is the central idea we're exploring today. The game sets up this simple story of good versus evil, but the gameplay itself, the planting, the harvesting, the selling, it sneakily trains you to think just like a CEO. It makes you adopt the exact same logic of capital that you were trying to run away from in the first place.
So how does it do that? Well, to get it, we need to talk about this kind of wonky academic idea called reification. Now, it sounds complicated, I know, but it's actually pretty simple. It's just the process of turning something you do, an action, an idea, your labor, into a physical thing. And in Stardew Valley, your hard work, your skills, your time, it all gets reified into tools and, crucially, automated machines. Let me give you a super simple example. In the beginning, you plant a parsnip by hand. That's your direct labor. But pretty soon, you build a preserves jar. Now that jar does the work for you. It takes that parsnip and transforms it into a much more valuable product. Your work has been captured, abstracted, and put into a machine that just sits there and generates passive income for you. And this is what the end game looks like, with sprinklers, kegs, crystallariums. The whole point becomes total automation. Your role completely shifts. You stop being a hands-on laborer out there tilling the soil, and you become a top-down manager, tweaking systems and maximizing output. You're not working in the farm anymore, you're working on it. This whole process is so addictive that it completely changes what play even means. Your relaxing getaway from the daily grind slowly turns into what some academics call a social factory. It's this idea that your free time, the time you set aside for fun, gets totally consumed by this constant drive for productivity and efficiency. All of a sudden, your fun little game starts to feel a lot like work. And once you're on that optimization train, there's no getting off. You start to speak the language of capital, whether you even realize it or not. So in the early game, you're probably just thinking about gold per day. Which crop is going to make me the most money? But as your farm gets bigger, you hit a wall.
And you have this big realization. The real bottleneck isn't your energy bar. It's not the hours in a day. The one thing you can never, ever get more of is land. Every single tile on your farm becomes precious, precious real estate. And that big realization leads to the ultimate metric of Stardew Valley capitalism, gold per tile day. This isn't just about how much money a crop makes, it's about how much money it makes per square of land per day. It's the perfect, most beautiful expression of squeezing every last drop of value out of a limited resource. It is the language of a true tycoon. And trust me, players have this down to an absolute science. Just look at this table. The community has calculated down to the second decimal point the most profitable use for every single tile in the game. This isn't farming anymore, folks. This is high-frequency trading, but with ancient fruit and star fruit. It's wild. And when you see it visually, it's even more striking. Yeah, a field of ancient fruit turning into wine is a massive economic engine. A shed full of crystallariums just printing out diamonds is basically your own private mint. But a honey operation on Ginger Island, that is the absolute gold standard, pulling in a staggering 226 gold per tile every single day. So, all this optimization, all this focus on efficiency, it all leads to one single, inevitable conclusion. You don't just beat Joja. You become something far more effective, far more efficient, and way more profitable than Joja could ever dream of being. By mastering the logic of capital, you build this automated wealth-generating machine that makes Joja Mart look like a kid's lemonade stand.
Let's just put a number on it to really let it sink in. A fully optimized greenhouse and just one big shed full of kegs can generate over 41,000 gold per day. That is more money than most of the villagers in Pelican Town will see in an entire year. You're not just a part of the local economy anymore. At this point, you are the local economy. And as this Reddit user kind of jokes about here, the shift in your mindset is just total. You start the game as someone trying to escape exploitation, and you end up as the single most powerful, dominant economic force in the entire valley. Which really leaves us with one final, kind of uncomfortable question. In our big quest to escape the cold, impersonal logic of the corporate machine, did we just get so good at its own game that we ended up building a much more efficient, much more profitable, and honestly a much cozier one in its place?